the Pac-12 consternation today. It's amazing to me. It is, and I guess it really shouldn't be amazing to me that so many supporters and so many fans in the Pac-12 have no idea what's going on. And so today, John Canzano completely, in my opinion, made up a tweet or was given terrible information that said the grant of rights is done. The grant of rights is not done. It's not done in any way, shape, or form. It is not close to being done. They have not seen, as we have reported for months now, they do not know what the number is. They do not know who that number is going to come from. Like we've told you, hey, $25 million or more, they keep the conference together. $25 million or more, they're in. $24.99 million or less, you're going to lose half the conference. So today, when we told you on Twitter that, hey, the grant of rights is not done. The grant of rights is not done in any way, shape, or form. So idiots like Dustin Tate on Twitter who want to say, that you don't know what you're talking about, that, I'm a Big 12 fanboy. Well, what are you in telling me, and this is the problem with Twitter now. You get idiots like this who have no idea what's happening and being like, oh, okay, so now, by the way, I would remind you, what's happening is we tweeted, go find me at the Monty Show, told you the grant of rights is not done. The grant of rights is not done. It is not nearly done. And I tweeted when Ray Anderson did that interview all those months ago.
Right.
I tweeted and I said, this is not the process when he said, well, you got to get a grant of rights done and then you go out and get a media deal. No, that's not how the process works. That is not in any way, shape, or form. The little issues, the everything but the media deal in the grant of rights, dude, that's been done for months. We've told you that on this show. Yet you get idiots like this Tate fool going off and saying, oh my God, it's done, you're a liar, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, well, apparently then somebody forgot to tell President Robbins at Arizona, right? A guy that you would think, hey, if there was a grant of rights done, I would think that President Robbins at Arizona would know about it.
Right.
I know I'm just the hack on YouTube. But when President Robbins meets with the media in Washington, D.C., as we're talking, you can't make this up. It's going on right now. Did not hear his comments before the show. President Robbins on the Pac-12 deal. I'm not anxious about this. I know it's important. I have full confidence we're going to get where we need to be. He said he's cautiously optimistic. The timeline for a Pac-12 deal will be there when we get there. I really think it's going to be soon. Oh, so you're saying then that the grant of rights is not done? That's what you're saying then, right? Because the Pac-12, I mean, if they had a media deal and a grant of rights deal was done, right? Like you know.
Yeah.
So then you look at what Ross Dellinger tweeted, the comment that from Sports Illustrated that Ross Dellinger tweeted about President Robbins. And what, again, I'm just the hack on YouTube, right? I don't know what I'm talking about. Ask the idiots on Twitter today who said, I made this up.
Right.
Because those guys clearly know what's going on. Like those of us that actually talk to presidents and athletic directors and administrators across the Pac-12, we have no idea because Jimmy, season ticket holder, says he knows more than we do. Well, then Ross Dellinger, somebody forgot to tell Ross to check with asshole on Twitter because he's a season ticket holder and he's got friends who are, they make hot dogs on those rollers up at, their college. So they know more than those of us that actually got phone calls today from administrators in the Pac-12. Not one or two or three. We got phone calls today. And then look at Ross Dellinger's tweet. Arizona President Robert Robbins, meeting with the media in D.C., says he's unaware of any agreement among Pac-12 schools in a grant of rights, and there won't be, quote, until we see a deal. We have not seen a deal. Oh my God. What a lot. President Robbins in Arizona is lying? Oh my God. Wow. Holy dude. The old man has lost it.
Yeah.
The old man has lost it. But we're the ones that are making stuff up. Right? Like, it's amazing to me when you go through this and you start to understand that 20 minutes ago, this all came out like 5 minutes ago. 20 minutes ago, I will even show you this tweet. Like, we're sitting here getting ready for the show, working the phone, right? And I get a phone call. I didn't call anybody. I get a phone call. Happens to be an administrator way up the food chain in the Pac-12. And what does this person tell me? The issues we agreed upon were never up for debate. We all know who drives the revenue in this conference. This is a PR spin to calm the masses. That the revenue sharing is the big one that everybody's like, oh, grants of rights are done. And it's not done. It's not done. Anybody who thinks that Oregon's getting the same money as Oregon State or Washington as Washington State is out the goddamn mind.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Because why would Oregon do that? Why would Oregon? Why would Washington? Why would Utah? Why would Utah take less money than an Oregon State or a Washington State? Or why would they do that? Why would Utah take less money than Arizona or Arizona State, who don't drive revenue in the conference? Why would Utah do that? They would never do that. They would never, ever do that. There is no grant of rights. It's a lie. It's not true. I don't know how much more pointedly I can tell you it's a lie. Anybody telling you the grant of rights is done in this conference is lying. It's not. It's not nearly done. All this other stuff, and you can sit here, John Canzano, who gets paid by the Pac-12 to be a mouthpiece. You can believe those guys until you're blue in the face. The very fact is there is no grant of rights. It is not done. It's not close to done because they don't have a TV deal. All this other stuff, done. The revenue sharing, all the I's and T's, great. Congratulations. Congratulations. Oh, by the way, you don't have a media rights deal, so what rights are you granting? Like, who's getting your TV rights? Who's getting your streaming rights? The grant of rights is not done. And anybody spouting and spinning that the grant of rights is done doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're a mouthpiece. It really is that simple.
Facts.
And again, I'll tell you, I've known John Canzano as a professional for years. For many, many years. I have had John on my shows in my past incarnations. He is a perfectly good dude. He is a mouthpiece for the Pac-12. Point blank. He covers Oregon. He covers the Northwest. It's his bread and butter. Period. End of story. So if the Pac-12 goes away, what happens to John Canzano? He becomes far less relevant. So what is he rooting for? He's rooting for the Pac-12 to survive.
Yeah.
And it's what I always tell you. You got to understand the motives of the people that are operating. And when you understand the motives of the people who are telling you, hey, look over here, grant of rights is done. When you understand what their motives are, you start to understand where the truth lies. Are people today calling John Canzano to say, hey, here's what's going on? They're not. And you know why? Because they don't trust the Pac-12. They don't trust the Pac-12 media people who are just out running out the company line. Hey, because the way this works is, hey, can you go ahead and, I don't know, can you tell people the grant of rights is done? That it's agreed to. John Canzano today, I believe, and Jake, you read it word for word. I did not.
Yeah.
But John Canzano today said all 10 members are ready to sign.
Yeah, basically said that the Pac-12 has all 10 members ready to sign the grant of rights, and that basically they're just waiting for the media rights portion. That once that comes in, everything's going to be good to go, and they're going to be off and running. And that's what he said. And that was before the paywall kicked in, because remember, he hides behind the paywall. So if you don't pay, you don't get to see the full article. But all I'm saying is that John Canzano, like, not to repeat everything he just said, but it's true. John Canzano is paid by a certain entity, the Pac-12. John Canzano is a mouthpiece for them. Like, there's no doubt. So I get why he's saying things like this, but the fact of the matter is that you have, again, the Canzanos of the world, and there were a couple other folks who tweeted it too, tweeting that this is done, and Canzano's got breaking news, and there were even people locally who, in my opinion, should be absolutely embarrassed that they would retweet this, saying things like, "There's a bombshell. John Canzano dropped a bombshell out of the Pac-12 that they're good to go, and the deal is coming in a matter of weeks." How long have I been hearing the terminology "a matter of weeks"? I've been hearing the terminology "a matter of weeks" since last September. So I don't buy that this deal is even close. I don't buy that they're in agreement. I think that money is what motivates everybody. So the idea that the headline, tries to send the message that it's equal revenue sharing across the board, and you get $1, and you get $1, and you get $1, even though you're $70 million in the hole, and even though you're terrible at sports, Washington State, even though Oregon's the one carrying the conference, even though Utah's the one carrying the conference, there's no way that would ever work. That's not how these deals work. It is precisely why the presidents in the ACC are doing what the presidents in the ACC are doing.
John Canzano is talking about, well, they're ready to sign. Why haven't they? Because there's nothing to sign.
And they're not ready to sign, dude. You know why they're not ready to sign? They're not ready to sign because you have to find a way to be okay with Oregon making twice as much as Oregon State. You got to be okay with that.
And again, the thing that I struggle with is a guy like John Canzano, who, again, I understand works for himself, and I totally get it. Why would if all 10 members were ready to sign, and this is what I would ask, then why would President Robbins say this right here? He is unaware of any agreement among Pac-12 schools in a grant of rights, and there won't be unless we see a deal. We have not seen a deal. But yet, all 10 members are ready to sign. All 10 members are ready to sign. So what is it? And it's the problem with the Pac-12 media mouthpieces. They desperately need the Pac-12 to survive.
Yep.
I'm not invested in the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or the SEC or the ACC. Whatever happens, happens. We're going to react to that. But what I'm telling you is there is no grant of rights. There is no deal in place. They're not close to a grant of rights. And whatever this was today, I know for sure what it wasn't. And it wasn't a grant of rights.
And it wasn't the truth.
It is remarkable to me that we are going through this. And you see, like Pete Thamel, I think arguably the most respected college football journalist. And I didn't say writer, I said journalist. Saying Arizona President Bobby Robbins on the Pac-12 deal, I'm not anxious about it. But it's not close, and you haven't seen it, and you don't know the number, but you're not anxious about it. That's what's amazing to me.
So what does that mean, though? Because I think that's really that he didn't say that by accident, right? Well, what that means is if something is, if you don't know a piece of information, so if you don't know how much a TV deal is going to come in for, but at the same time, you're not anxious about that deal coming in and the ramifications of that number, what does that say? Well, that says that you're prepared for the deal to never come in. That means that you're prepared for if the deal comes in, but it's way below what you need it to be, that you have a backup plan. What have we been talking about on the Shogun for months now? That Arizona is prepared. That Arizona likes the opportunity that the Big 12 provides. So, again, this is nothing new. This isn't like, this is not breaking news. This is not shocking. This is not some bomb out of the Pac-12. This is not some amazing piece of reporting. This is simply the Pac-12 at the conference level trying to damage control in the media. And who would have thought that multiple reporters took it hook, line, and sinker? Multiple.
It's amazing.
And I have to say, I'm done saying things like John Canzano should be embarrassed by what he did today, because ultimately, you're right. He's invested in the Pac-12 surviving, so it makes perfect sense. I get it. I don't agree with reporting something like that because I think it's totally irresponsible, but ultimately, that's his job. So I guess at the end of the day, the point is that you can't just see one report and be like, oh man, the deal's done. Deal's done, we're good to go. No, that's not how the thing works. And they are nowhere. Yesterday is the same as today. They're not in a different place today as they were yesterday. It literally is, they are in the same position that they were in. And frankly, they're, for us on this show, at least for me, like I get burned out on this stuff. I get burned out on, hey, someone's going to tweet one thing and all of a sudden everyone's going to react to it. And everyone's going to say, oh my God, the deal's done. And then, I don't know, June 7th turns into July 1st. And what do you know? Deal's not done. Presidents are all on vacation like we've been telling you they're going to be.
Well, look at this. Look at this from Pete Thamel today, talking to President Robbins. President Robbins on ties between Arizona and Arizona State in realignment. And real quick, I want to remind you, what did we report on this show? That the Arizona Board of Regents have told people, sources, that Arizona will not be prevented from leaving and leaving without Arizona State. But their overwhelming preference is to keep Arizona State and Arizona in lockstep in business, and that includes athletics, and that the two operate very close with each other, and that it would be very difficult not to penalize financially or otherwise Arizona for separating from Arizona State.
Yeah.
So here's Pete Thamel. President Robbins on ties between Arizona and Arizona State in realignment. Quote, we don't have to do the same thing, but President Crow and I are very, very tight. I think it'd be unlikely that we'd split up. Right now, with 10 schools, we control a very nice 20% of solidarity. So wait, let me get this right. Now, I could be wrong.
Careful.
I don't do fucking math for a living, but I could be wrong. I believe what he just said there is we have 20% solidarity, which means Arizona State and Arizona together, when they're in lockstep in business, are very strong. And that his preference, and I don't know, tell me if I'm reading too much into it, it's very clear to me his preference is they stay together. Because with 10 schools, we control a nice 20% of the solidarity.
Oh.
Yeah, but we're just the grifters, and we hate the Pac-12. And,
well, and you're a Big 12 fanboy.
I'm a Big 12. And the best part is the Big 12 guys are like, you're a Pac-12 homer. The Pac-12 guys are like, you're a Big 12 homer. Like, it's remarkable to me. It is remarkable to me how desperate this conference is, and the fans of the Pac-12 are, to be proven right that the Pac-12 is going to survive and they're going to make more money than the Big 12. When the facts just don't say that.
Yeah.
They don't say that. In any way, shape, or form, they don't say that. Whatever John Canzano says, the bombshell, I love that. I love that tweet today from a local media member. Bombshell from Canzano.
Ought to be embarrassed.
I'm sorry. Where's the bombshell? Because we told you, and I don't care how many people are like, oh, we told you. I'm tired of hearing you say we told you. It's days like this where we told you is very pertinent and important, because we're not on people's payrolls. We are not mouthpieces for conferences. We tell you the truth.
Facts.
And the truth is there is no grant of rights in the Pac-12. There is not. And as we've talked about repeatedly, I don't believe for a second that any of these schools want to leave.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they won't. And whatever this media rights deal that was supposed to be done, again, John Canzano pushing the dominoes are about to fall. Well, it's June 7th. I mean, at some point,
dominoes have been falling since Thanksgiving, Slick.
Come on, dude. Like, it's amazing to me that you get this from Jason Scheer at Arizona. Sources tell me the grant of rights was done before the Pac-12 meetings. It will include performance merit-based revenue sharing. As of now, there's no deal to sign, which makes the above irrelevant. What on earth does that mean? And this is the guy, by the way,
Yeah.
who claims to cover Arizona.
For a living.
Oh, by the way, you don't have a deal because the president in Arizona, who you supposedly are in lockstep with, just said that you're completely wrong. I don't know. I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed by it. Stuart Mandel at The Athletic. Pac-12 schools have agreed on the language of their grant of rights. Okay, well, apparently somebody forgot to tell President Robbins at Arizona because President Robbins says there is no deal. He's unaware of any agreement. But Pac-12 schools have agreed on language. Okay, well, apparently Arizona...
Hey, what do you see there? What do you see there? As first reported by who?
John Canzano.
What do you know? So,
Schools...
hook, line, and sinker, bro.
It's amazing to me how many people want to run and attach themselves and this. And you know the other part of this that really stands out to me? It makes me believe that there's a better than average chance that they don't break this conference up.
Go back to Pete Thamel's Twitter account. What did Buddy just say? Bobby Robbins. Quote, my prediction is that we're all going to stay together as a Pac-12. There's 10 of us right now. I'm hopeful that the deal is going to be good enough to keep us together. I think that's what's best, or I think that's the best thing for our students and alumni. That's what we're hoping for. So basically what you're saying is what you've been saying for the last, I don't know, really the last 90 days out of him. He's the one that's been talking the most. You're basically saying with the I hope it's good enough to keep us together that, yeah, you know, I hope it's good enough. But if it's not, right? Because that's what that means.
Yeah, this is...
Come on, dude.
I just can't... I'm so sick of this story. I just being totally honest with you, I'm so sick and tired of this story. Because this is what it does. I think that it's best for all of our students and alumni. That's what we're hoping for. Well, you control it, my man. You control it. You control it. That's the president in Arizona saying, I hope we stay together.
I'm seeing hope, the word hope and hopeful, and I'm seeing that word a lot in this tweet out of President Robbins. I'm hopeful the deal is good enough for us to stay together. Well, unfortunately, hoping for things doesn't make things happen. I could have hoped that, you know, individuals like Jay Monahan wouldn't betray their country. I could hope that the Pac-12 would run their business a little bit better.
That's
awesome. Could hope that, you know, Zion Williamson didn't have a side chick, but he did. Right? Hope doesn't do anything. You can sit here and say, I hope that I have $1 million. I hope that I have 500,000 subs on YouTube. But that doesn't mean we're going to have 500,000 subs on YouTube, and that's what I get tired of. Right?
Yeah,
it just is endless.
And President Robbins also apparently said a few moments ago, would you be interested in moving conferences? Quote, depends on what our financial deal is.
I mean, how many more ways does dude have to say it? Like, bro, like what?
You know, I wish he would just insert in there. Well, as the Monty Show's been reporting, comma, it depends on what our financial deal is.
If it's 25 or more, everyone's staying on the Pac-12 bus. If it's 24.99 or less, everybody's leaving. At least half are leaving. I think it's a little more than that, but at least half.
This is incredible.
Like,
and you guys can be upset and it can piss you off. But I will again just continue to tell you, when you want the facts and you want to know what's actually happening, welcome to the Monty Show. Because I mean, this is a president in the Pac-12. President Robert Robbins at Arizona. I don't know if he watches our show or what the hell is going on. He's quoting us now. Do you guys understand? He is quoting us directly now. Hey, I just said 10 minutes or 26 minutes ago, if it's 25 million or more, the conference stays together. If it's 24.99 or less, they're going to lose half the conference. So what did President Robbins say? Would you be willing to, hey, Bobby, would you be interested in moving conferences? I don't know. It depends on what our financial deal is.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
Like,
Come on, let's go, Schlepp Rock.
Woosah.
It's incredible.
I cannot wait for this story to come to a head. And my guess is, since Bobby Robbins is guessing, I guess I can guess too.
Well, he's being hopeful.
Thank you.
He's being hopeful.
My guess is the large majority of these schools stay together. Because this firestorm today was all based on a half-truth and spin. And I just don't know how else can you explain it? John Canzano is the reason that this is all being talked about today, because he reported the grant of rights is done. The agreement is in place. All 10 members are ready to sign it. Why haven't they?
What's the holdup?
What's the holdup? The holdup is there's no deal.
Yeah, and the holdup is without a TV deal, you can't have a grant of rights, Slick. So don't put out an article saying things like, hey, the grant of rights is done, and what's the holdup? Well, actually, it's not done because you can't have a grant of rights until you have a media deal, because without a media deal, you quite literally can't grant your rights to the conference for them to distribute it out in the media deal that they brought you.
The amazing thing is, going back now and reading what's available before the paywall from John Canzano, and I'm going to put this up because I think it's important that you guys see this. I am not going behind his paywall. This is on his website. Here's what John Canzano wrote today. And you tell me, you call us a grifter. You tell us we're the hacks on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
This morning, John Canzano wrote, the remaining Pac-12 conference members have finalized the term of their grant of rights. Sources tell me.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
That contract includes a variety. Oh, so now they have a contract.
Which, by the way, the word contract, if you're unfamiliar with what that means, you need to look that up, because in this situation, that's a powerful word.
It's a very powerful word, because what's a contract? You have something of value that is agreed upon between party A and party B.
A written or spoken agreement, especially one concerning employment, sales, or tenancy, that is intended to be enforceable by law, right? So just like he said, hey, I've got something that I'm going to give to you. He's got something that he's going to give to me, and we're going to put a contract together to bring it all together. So, hey, what Canzano is saying here is they've got a grant of rights done, and what's the holdup? They've got a contract ready to go.
He writes, the contract includes a variety of elements that all 10 schools need to agree on, and it appears that they have. It appears they have. Well, again, I know John Canzano, he's the main source on everything that's true. But again, I would just point you to President Robbins in Arizona, who says he's unaware of any agreement among Pac-12 schools in the grant of rights. But John Canzano, who also writes, among other items, a grant of rights includes, so again, you're saying there's a grant of rights. What sponsorships are Pac-12 centralized versus left for individual campuses to sell? Now, call me crazy. What have we said on this show? What have we said about corporate sponsorships? Mm-hmm. That when your TV deal is tiny, you have to have more and new revenue streams.
Facts.
So things like Washington State football presented by, Utah Ute football presented by, those have to stay at the university level. That's what he's referring to here. As we told you on our show, what set of rights the conference can sell and how the revenue will be split among the 10 member schools. Even shares, postseason incentives. Quote, over the last few months, a member of the Pac-12 CU group told me, we have negotiated all the issues and the grant of rights is ready to go. You guys, he said, we have negotiated all of these issues and the grant of rights is ready to go. That's what John Canzano is reporting today. And yet President Robbins at Arizona told the national media in Washington, D.C. today. He is unaware of any agreement among Pac-12 schools and a grant of rights, and there won't be until we see a deal. We have not seen a deal. Stop buying into this stuff. Stop lighting Twitter on fire. Stop believing that the Pac-12 mouthpieces are telling you the truth. Okay, I feel better. I feel like I just can't even, like I can't even anymore.
Yeah.
I can't even anymore. Ryan Thomas gives us $2 to say Canzano needs to stop listening to Schultz. I don't know if it's Schultz or not, because I can tell you President Schultz is not a popular man on his campus, according to some people. There are many who believe his seat is quite warm. McKay Boyle, how much longer are CU and Arizona, et cetera, are going to deal with the Pac-12 drama until they leave? I don't think there's a timeline.
And I don't know that there's that much drama, right? I think it feels like there's a lot of drama because a certain individual is reporting. I don't think that for President Robbins at Arizona, he's in a place where he's like, oh my God, the world is melting down and our existence is in question. What has he said repeatedly? He has said repeatedly, hey, our goal is to stay together. We feel like we can, but it all comes down to the TV deal. That's it. And if it doesn't work out, we're prepared.
It is amazing to me. It is amazing to me how the Twitterverse and the Pac-12 world gets lit on fire, and then you have people that come out and directly contradict what somebody who is supposedly the leading source of Pac-12 news and information in John Canzano is saying. This is on his website, folks. This is on his website that he wants you to pay and subscribe. And it even says members have agreed on, the headline is incredible on this. On his own website, I will show you the header and the headline, which is unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
And I am assuming there are people who subscribe to this. I would think a large number of people subscribe to this right here. This is from John Canzano's website. Pac-12 schools jockey down the stretch. Members have agreed on terms of a grant of rights.
Notice what's at the top. Let's not skip over that.
Yeah, The Bald-Faced Truth by John Canzano. Because he only tells the truth.
Come on.
Unless you are the president in Arizona and you're saying that there is no deal in place. There's no deal in place, which is amazing to me. I can't. Stephen Smith for $10. Why do people fall for these tactics when grant of rights is not done in the Pac-12? Is it just fear of not existing anymore, or to stop the bad PR from continuing, from lawsuits to hiring freezes? I think it is the overwhelming hope that the Pac-12 lives on. And that, because I do think when the finality comes, yay or nay, when the finality comes, there is going to be a bunch of bro talk at the water cooler in the office. Mm-hmm. I think at the gym. I think when you're at Chipotle, you name it. When you're golfing with the boys, there is going to be a bunch of shit talked.
Yes.
Oh, look, can you imagine in Salt Lake City? Just think about Salt Lake City on its own. BYU and Utah fans. Well, who's the little brother now? Think about if Arizona leaves Arizona State behind in the Pac-12 and goes to the Big 12. Think the Territorial Cup, which may never be competed for again, you think that gets ratcheted up this year? I would think so. What does Washington fans say to Washington State fan? What does Oregon fans say to Oregon State fan? Where is San Diego State fan in all of this, besides hiding in a basement? Well, they don't have basements in California. Hiding in an attic in the fetal position. Because I think when the finality comes around, the harsh reality is going to set in that there was a bunch of people who fed you bullshit and you ate it, like spoonfuls of it, because you are desperate for one outcome or the other, which is why I tell you every day on this show, we're not desperate for an outcome. We are simply going to report the facts, and we're going to tell you what our sources are telling us. And I can tell you point blank today that there is not a grant of rights.
Yeah.
There is not. Hero 75, the schools of the PAC are ready to sign a grant of rights if they get a media money deal they require. The problem is that seems impossible currently. I don't even believe that it is that is incorrect. I think you're probably right. But that's just not what we're hearing. That's not what we're hearing. It is the funny part about a grant of rights is it really is it's an agreement that's financial in nature. Here's what we're going to pay you. Here's what you're going to make from TV. Here's what you're going to make from the revenue share. And here's, like the overall percentage. Here's what the other schools in the conference are going to get. That's what it is. And I can even tell you the structure in the Pac-12 is you have the commissioner, you have 3 presidents that include, by the way, Kirk Schultz at Washington State, President Cosse at Washington. Like 3 presidents sit on the board and they all filter down to their different groups.
Yeah.
And not one of them knows if they have a grant of rights or not because the media rights deal is blank.
Yeah, and I don't know how you could how it's responsible reporting to come out and say something like, "Hey, yeah, they're all ready to sign the grant of rights. They're just waiting for the media deal." Do you understand just how impactful the media deal is? Because if the media deal comes in at $20 million and the low man on the totem pole, let's use Washington State just as an example. If someone said to Washington State, "Hey, yeah, because the deal's only $20 million, you guys are getting like, I don't know, $8 million a year," right? Because you're the low man on the totem pole and, you don't make any revenue for the conference and, you're kind of in a tough spot right now. And Oregon's going to get a huge chunk and Utah's going to get a huge chunk. You're really telling me that someone would sign on to that deal? So I disagree with the assertion that they're all ready to sign the grants of rights. There may be certain parts of it that everybody's kind of agreed on, but you can't sit here and say that all of a sudden you're ready to go. Like saying, "Hey, it's ready to go for the media deal," as if it's like, "All right, cool, everyone's docu-signed and we're ready, and all Georgia's got to do is walk down the yellow brick road of incompetence and give us our TV deal." That's not where we are right now. Where we are is, hey, certain portions of what could be a deliverable grant of rights may be agreed upon, and depending on if it's 20 mil. Or 30 mil or 25 mil, that's going to determine how incentivized people are to agree. And I don't know why we're so, hurried to get ahead of this thing. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't see any point to, I just don't see any point to trying to be first.